Hey everybody, it's Adam from Encounter Wargaming, and we're going to paint up this Hive City Chapel to look real pretty. So our friends over at Kromlech and Tabletop Scenics have hooked us up with some cool terrain, and so I have this 3-layered Hive City Chapel building, and I'm stoked to get it painted up. We're going to use a combination of rattle can, airbrush, and dry brushing to paint it up fairly quickly so you don't get too bogged down. I may use a little bit of weathering stuff too at the end just to give it some cool effects, but mostly you can get away with just doing all of it with the rattle can, the airbrush, and a little bit of dry brushing. Just working the angles and making it look nice and doing it up quick so you don't have to spend like too much time painting terrain. Now, like you guys, if you've watched the building video, you know this kit is really elaborate, and so it's worth spending extra time to make it look pretty. If you're making a gaming table, you want to go all out on this because there's so much detail. I'm just going to do the quick and dirty version so that because I think most people like to get things done, and so I'm going to show you a method to get it done quick, effectively, and so it looks really great on the table. So there you go, the Hive City Chapel. Let's get it on the paint table and get this guy painted up quick. Okay, so this first stage, I can't physically show you it because I got to go outside to do some rattle can priming. But basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with these spray paints and just do some base coats, and then some brief zenithal shading and stuff. So I got this Rust-Oleum flat red primer, which is like actually just a rusty brown color primer, kind of with a little bit of a red tone. And then I am going to do a top down with this, that's the French side, this satin nutmeg, and that'll kind of give like some red in the underneath, and most of it will be this like nice nutmeggy light brown color. And to be open and honest, everybody, I give full props to Ash over at Guerrilla Miniature Games. I stole this from him. It's a great idea. I've painted some terrain with it. It works. It's super fast. It's super easy, and looks hot on the table. So guys, you can't knock what works, and so there you go. Also, I'm going to take the top of the roof and do it more of a metallic color, so I'm going to prime it black and then do some top downs with this Army Painter gunmetal. It's like a silver spray paint. So I will go outside, do that, and then I will be right back and I will show you guys the finished results. So let's get to it. And we're back. There is all of our rattle can priming down. We did this in the 2 layers, so I have a nice silver colored roof all the way around, which is pretty slick. Just set that off to the side, and then we have our primed building. So done in the 2 layers, the red, brown, and the nutmeg. And so wanted just some nice simple color modulation. You'll see just like a little bit of the darker at the bottom and definitely in all the cracks, and then a little bit lighter come to the top. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to accent all this with some airbrushing. The reason you want to start with rattle cans is this stuff is really, it just soaks up paint, right? And so if you started off airbrushing it, you wouldn't get very far because it would just take forever. It would use up a heck of a lot of your airbrush paint, which gets expensive, and so you definitely want to do some rattle can base coats to give the wood something to soak up, and then you can easily airbrush on top really nicely. So now that we've got some nice those red shadows in the corners and stuff, we already got some great color modulation. Let's pull out the airbrush and do some accents. All right, we have our silver roof all finished here, and that's what we're going to focus on right now. So pull out my airbrush. I got my Iwata HPCS, the Eclipse, and I've loaded it up with some gunmetal from Vallejo Model Air, and I'm hoping it's just slightly brighter. It's a little bit tough to tell, but better safe than sorry, I think, for the start. And I'm going to aim to just cover larger flat surfaces and highlights and stuff. And so we're going to try and leave the cracks and shadows and stuff like that. So let's start off there, and we'll start off pretty easy. Yeah, it's pretty subtle, but I think it'll be a good just to even some things out. And so I'm just hitting large flat panels. You'll really see it on the next one. It'll stand out a lot more. All right. Oops, I'm blocking you off. Great, so some nice subtle highlights. Sweet, so now let's pull out silver one brighter, and this is where this accent will really shine. All right, so now I've gone up to the brightest silver that I have, which is the silver Model Air. Very simple. So, same concept. Now be very careful because this one's going to be much, much brighter. I kind of work in these three, so my silvers are kind of generally in three stages, like a super dark one, and then a medium, and then a brighter one. So let's see if I can't show you on this nice, large, flat surface here. Just kind of really accent those big panels there, leaving the cracks dark. There we go. See, we're getting some nice color modulation there. Looks great. Some nice highlights. Looks slick. Get this top chimney. You can see making that roof really stand out, and you can see the MDF, the laser cut lines. They stay dark, right? Because they're so skinny that the paint doesn't really like jump in there too easily. So you kind of, those details really do the shadowing work for you, which is nice. Let's get some spot highlights on the roof and on those spikes, on these eagle heads. Beautiful. Now let's do it once over. Oh, sweet. Gotta do this back part here. Great. Awesome. So that's looking pretty good for just two little highlights. We're getting some nice color modulation. What we'll do is we'll come in and we'll just weather this up a whole bunch. And that'll really help this pop. So there you go. That is the first step on the roof. Let's set that aside and do something very similar to the rest of the building. Let's get some highlights on the walls. All right, and here I have two Game Air colors from Vallejo. I have leather brown and I have bone white. And what I've done is I have made a premix of kind of like a 50-50 premix in another bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my 50-50 of those two into my airbrush, and we are going to do the same idea of just doing a couple more precise highlights than what you get with the rattle can on the walls of this building. So let's start off there. We got good paint's coming through nice, and let's pick up some edges, corners, flat panels. Sweet, and now it's really starting to pop. See that? You don't have to be too precise. Remember, this is just terrain. That's not to say this terrain is not worthy of a sick paint job. I'm just saying you do have to prioritize to make sure that you spend the most time making your minis look beautiful, depending on what you're going for. So there you go. See, that's really starting to pop. So let's just keep going on that all the way around. I guess the idea with terrain is being sticking with being simple but effective, right? Alright, get this nice circular window, get right in the middle of it. Top of that little doorway. Getting these Imperial Eagles. Let's have once over on the back. It's looking good, eh? All right. Just one more side to do in the round part. All right, now let's just get these round windows. Just a tiny bit more paint. Finish off the side of the building. All right, let's keep getting these rounded edges. Get those eagle heads. They certainly do pop. All right, cool. This is also, I painted all my Adeptus Titanicus terrain in the same style. So my kind of like 40k city terrain matches my Adeptus Titanicus city terrain. So it's like we're fighting in the same war zone. You know. Just getting the edges here because they do show when you take the roof off, and I want them to match. I may paint this middle bit another color, but just to get it done for now, I think I may leave it. All right, that's slick. So that's looking really nice. Got some good highlights, good color modulation. You can see the the red pop a lot more under this more creamy beige color. I'm noticing spots where the wood is just like soaking up the airbrush paint. I need to give it another shot or two of highlight. Just because it's so porous. Great. All right, well that's looking slick. So let's just zoom out real quick and have a look at our building thus far. Okay. So not bad, right? We got some nice highlights on there. Nice color modulation. It's really starting to come together. So I think let's do our dry brush on the whole thing and then start doing some weathering. And then we're pretty close to done. So nice, quick, and dirty paint job on this building. Let's do it. All right, so here we are. We got our two halves of our building. And what's gonna happen is we're just gonna take some Screaming Skull. There it is. Screaming Skull from G-Dub. There's a nice bright beige. And we are gonna dry brush this. So I always like to start on a napkin. The napkin soaks up a lot of the moisture. Alright. Get nice and dry. You can always add more paint, but it's hard to take it off once it's on the model. Alright, so now go downward streaks only. We're looking to just catch edges. Maybe a little bit too dry. That's what I mean. You can always add more, but it's hard once you'd make that stroke to take it off. And if you do downward streaks, it'll help add to the weathering effect that we're gonna go for in later stages. Sweet. A little bit more. Keep going all the way around. All right, so I'll just do this one, and then I'll pause and I'll let you guys do the other one. Sweet. So we're getting nice edge highlights here. We're getting nice weather looking streaks on this thing as well. Beauties. Okay, great. So you get the idea. You see, it's just popping that much more now. So go ahead and do that on the other half, and then we'll be right back. All right, so let's come back over here to the roof and do a little bit more airbrushing. So now that we're onto the weathering, we want to make this guy look a little bit rusty. So what we're going to do is just take the airbrush and start doing rough outlines of rust patterns. So you can see just a couple of sprays goes a long way, right? And so we're going underneath seams, dragging down so that it looks like dripping, and we're going to accent those drips a little bit more. But there you go, there's some more. Places where it would pool up is in the cracks, underneath things, on top of little ledges. And there you go. So just go around. Just keep doing little rust spots all over. Oh. All right. Not bad, not bad. Just everything with a nice little hint of orange. All right, this is like an orange. I forget if I just showed you or not. This is a Harvest Brown from the Reaper Master Series. We're going to come in one more time with a little bit brighter orange. Forget what it's called. I'll show you in a minute. But there you go. So just that's probably good. Nice even colors. Fabulous. Great. Maybe just a little bit more right there. Whoopsies. All right. So there you go. There's some rusting all over it. And you can see even just that one layer. We're going to do like 2 more layers on this rust just to make it look good. Even with that, boom. It's really starting to tie in to our building and make it look a lot more realistic and make it pop. As opposed to just having like brown and silver. So there you go. There's those next stages. We'll be back in a second and we'll do another layer. So now we're going to go up with another Harvest Master Series paint called Orange Brown. Okay, and so I've loaded up the airbrush with a little bit of that. And now what we're aiming to do is just take the rust patterns that we already did and bring them up just a little bit brighter, kind of one step up from where they are. So here we go. You see just that little bit more pop, a little bit more concentration of that orange rust color that we want. And again, it modulates the color, gives us a nice effect, which is what we want. So just a couple little pops, some bips and bops here and there. Don't have to get too crazy with all this, but just get that orange coming through. All right, there we go. So a nice accented rust colors. Really popping now. Let's come in and just make sure we streak them a little bit more so they look less like clouds of orange rust, and now let's concentrate them to look like the rust is streaking downwards. And we're back over to the paint station. So what we're going to do is just take some GW RZA Rust, and I'm just going to get it out on my palette here. Get a nice big chunk, and I will actually take a bunch of water and just water this guy down. Now it is a bit chunky, so you got to work at it to water it down a bit, but it'll be worth it. This stuff is great. It dries great. For a nice rusty pattern, which is cool and exactly what we want. Get it nice and watery so that we can actually use it kind of like a wash. But we're just going to add like wet rust, running rust patterns down the edges and cracks of the building and stuff. All right, so there we go. We got that all worked up. So now let's take another brush, just any crummy brush, doesn't matter really. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the metal bit because the orange on the brown won't do too much, so we'll do something else down there. But here we go. Let's paint it on, and use your finger to just streak it. Paint it on, streak it down. And there you go. That'll give that kind of running look to the rust instead of just having these kind of like rusted areas. Just look a lot more natural, like water's been getting in here and stuff. And so the combination of all three of these things together is what you really need to kind of sell this. And of course you could do more to make rust, like to really sell rust and all that, but I think this will be good enough for our purposes. We should be good with just these. Again, this is just terrain. We're not going for Golden Demon. We just want it to look good on the gaming table. You want your nicely painted minis to always be the centerpiece of any gaming table. But nice terrain, dang man, nice terrain is always a good thing. This great. Tons of stuff would get caught up in these slats and stuff, so let's really give her on that. Cool. Great. Coming along. All right, just kind of adding to the top details, using my finger to make it look a little bit more natural and streaky as opposed to like paint it on. Get in there, streak it up. Okay, almost done all the way around. Let's get this top grate right here. Sweet. I'll just get a little bit in there, these little vents. Use my fingers some more. All right, now that is gonna look cool. Get some of these eyes up here bleeding out. A little bit of rust. Great. Yeah, the finger effect is looking real good. Nice and streaky. It actually also too is like pushing it in the cracks for on some of these roof panels, which is really selling it. Sweet. So that's looking good. Nice rusty, very grim dark. Loving it. Let's get some streaks coming down the outside here. Use the fingers again. There it is. So there you go. So that 3-layer step there really makes that look nice and rusty to go on top of our building. And so now let's do some streaks on the main building to do some weathering down here, and then we're almost done. All right, so we got just GW Nuln oil, and so this this black color will really do good to just show like nice little oil streaks and stuff. And same idea, we're just going for downward drag. And the reason I chose this black is because it's already like a light brown color, and so this will look this will really pop on this brown to dirty it up. We'll hit up the airbrush as well if we think we might need it to do some dirt stains on this part, but hopefully this is good enough. And again, your finger is really what's gonna make it look natural. And so it's all these little screw details. Get some streaks coming down from there. Nice oil stains and stuff. Great. So you can see the effect that's having. Just making it look nice and dirty. Rain washed. So that finger. All right, so guys, you don't need to see me do this all again. It's the same effect as the rust. You've seen me do it a little bit, and so now go ahead and do it over the entire model, and we'll come back when that's done. So here we are with a whole bunch of streaking. So it looks nice and weathered now. Really cool. So we got some great color modulations. The red's really showing through. All of our dry brushing and highlights are really showing. And so now let's just take a little bit of foam, the protective layer of foam that you get when you buy minis, and we'll take it, and I got some brown paint on the palette. You can just use dryad bark or any dark brown paint. And we are just going to sponge the edges of this thing. Oops, a little too much. Okay, so just sponge the edges. And what it's going to do is add some nice speckling and chipping effect to this. And so all the way around, concentrate on the bottom and the edges. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. I'll do a little bit more, then we'll get a nice up close shot for you. And basically the foam makes it, the like gaps in between the little fibers give it a great chipping effect, which is really what we're after. So just kind of randomly disperse all over. You guys see that nice chipping effect, makes it look dirty, chip paint, all that. And so go ahead and do that around the whole thing, and then we'll come back in a second. Okay, so let's just do one last thing, and then I think think we can call this guy done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that Vallejo silver that we were using, pour a little bit out on my palette, and then this will really blend the whole thing together. So take some more sponge, and we're just going to do some silver chipping and try and concentrate it right on top of all the brown chipping that we just did. That'll give a nice highlight and really sell the chipping effect that we have. So you can see this looks nice and dirty, really well weathered, and now we're just going to come on top of some of that silver, or sorry, on top of some of that dark brown, and do these silver chipping effects. There you go. Now we're really working it here. It's nice and weathered, and because we have that nice silver roof, this will help tie everything together. And there we are. So do a little bit more, we'll pause, and then we'll show you what it looks like all together. All right, a little bit more paint. Actually, I may just finish this on camera because it won't take too long. And then we'll show you what can basically be the finished product. And obviously there is so much more that you can do with this, but again, we're going for quick and dirty, nice and easy. This is terrain. We don't want to spend forever and ever. We're not going to win a golden demon on this, but it's going to look fantastic with all of our minis fighting around it, fighting for supremacy around this Hive City Chapel from our boys over at Tabletop Scenics Kromlech. It's looking good, looking good. All right, almost done here. On this door. All right. Cool, so there we go. I think we are good on that. And so if you just take a close-up look, you can really see some of that bright silver on that dark brown. It just looks sweet. So this thing is really popping. And it did not take us that long at all. So there we go. There is the finished product right there. Let's zoom out just a tad. Now, as we look, I'm also looking if there's anything else we could do to really sell this. And I'm thinking it's pretty good. It's pretty good for a nice quick piece of terrain. That is going to look sweet on the battlefield. Amazing. Guys, look at that. Look at that. What a nice piece of terrain. Built, painted, ready to go. We can line some models up around it. And let's see, do I have anything in arm's reach? Yes, I do. I got some Space Marines. Some 30K Space Marines looking real sweet on this puppy. They're purple plasma glow, a missile launcher. Like that's exactly what you want in a piece of terrain. So great job, guys. The scale is good. Look at that, Space Marine fits right in that door. The scale's good. The detail is great. It ties right into a nice Hive City Imperial look, and so amazing. Let's just turn this a little bit and get another angle. Boom. Just looks so good. Your dude's fighting around that. You will not be disappointed with a piece of terrain like that sitting on your table. Guys, that's sweet. Let's end this puppy. And there you have it, folks, this Hive City Chapel from Tabletop Scenics. Guys, this is an amazing MDF kit. It built and painted. You could probably do a whole bunch of these if you did them all at once. Like if you got a whole table's worth of terrain, you could do this entire project in a day and a half. The building part certainly takes the longest because there's so much detail, and that's a really good thing because all of the paint jobs that we did, man, we didn't have to do much to make all those details really pop. And so it's totally worth it. Like, check that out. That is a sick looking piece of terrain. And without too much time, like you could paint 10 of these buildings all at once and have it only take, I don't know, maybe 50% longer to do 10 times the amount of work. Like, it's so easy to paint terrain that looks great on the battlefield. And so guys, highly encourage these, and I'm super stoked to throw this on the gaming table and bat around with it. So guys, if you like that video, go down there, hit subscribe, love that. Hit the little bell so you get a notification when future videos come out, like a battle report involving our brand new terrain. And yeah, sweet. And guys, if you want to support everything that we do here at the channel, you can jump down there and buy an Account of Wargaming t-shirt from Spreadshirt. You can also support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a video. You can support everything we do here on the channel. Battle reports, tutorials, all the good stuff. And so we would absolutely love that. That keeps us doing what we're doing. And so guys, I think that's everything for today. So we will see you at our next encounter.
Like a monkey in a rocket on its way back home. Okay.